How's it going, everybody? This is Aliskerov, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
What's up, Will?
What up, what up?
Welcome, everybody, to Story of the Fight. My name is Romero. That's my boy, Will. This is where we talk all things combat sports. Today, we will be covering some combat sports, Will.
Yeah, real quick shout out to the boy Nick Griswold. Just fought in the main event. They bumped him up. The main event on 209 beatdown 22. Got a second round TKO. Pretty sick. We also had UFC Saudi Arabia, which we're going to be covering some of the fights from that. Some of them, not all of them.
Yeah, hey, but before we do, let's remind everybody, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It goes a long way. We're trying to reach 20,000 subscribers. I think we already broke the 13,000 subscribers. So thank you to everybody that has subscribed so far. If you know anybody that loves combat sports, loves talking and chatting combat sports, tell them to join us because we can chat live, right? And if they don't like watching, but they like listening.
Yeah, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are found. At Story of the Fight on everything. You go to storyofthefight.com. It'll list our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, Twitch, YouTube, everything. So just go through, click follow on all of them.
There we go. So now that we got that out of the way, Will, it means we can start talking about UFC Saudi Arabia. What do you think? Yeah, let's do it. All right, so we're going to be covering a total of 7 fights. Of course, we're going to be starting off with the main event, right? Hey, shout out, by the way, HLB Comer, who's joining us live right now. Right,
shout out HLB Comer.
But yes, hey, Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. This isn't what the main event was supposed to be.
No, it was supposed to be Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat, ended up in the hospital, as is tradition.
Yes.
I think he's main evented. He's like been slated to main event like 5 fights now, 5 different occasions, and I don't think he's gonna win.
Man. It's been a rough
go. I feel for him.
You remember when he first came out and all the hype behind Khamzat, and for good reason. He was running through everybody. I think there was like, what was it, 0 or 1 landed strike or something like that in his first 3 fights. It was something insane.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, this is the boogeyman. This guy is going to be the next champion here by the next 6 months. And now we're like, will he fight in the next 6 months?
Yeah. Well, don't forget, he retired during COVID when he was like coughing up blood. And then a certain warlord was like, hold on, we're gonna have a closed door meeting, and he talked him into continuing. And it's like, maybe he should have just stayed. Maybe his health isn't good because he's had this is like the 3rd big health scare that he's had. It's like,
something happened to that immune system, dude.
Yeah, it's not good, dude.
But hey, we did have a main event nonetheless. Robert Whittaker versus Aliskerov. Now, look, I completely understand the UFC has to do their job. They have to try to hype this fight up. Ikram was coming in 15-1 into the fight.
He's only lost 2
finishes. So I could see how they were trying to hype it up, but I mean, they were pushing it so hard. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, look, he was supposed to fight in the co-main the week before, and I think the Apex or something. Or no, maybe it was I don't know. But he was supposed to fight that week. So Khamzat pulls out. They move him over here. Whittaker's like, I didn't even know who this guy was. I had to start watching his tape when they offered it, and I was kind of worried. Sometimes there's certain fighters who will fight to the level of their opponents, and I'm not saying Ikram was like bad, but if you're overlooking somebody and you think that they're bad, you might fight bad just to and. On the walkout, Rob looked fucking terrifying.
No, not just the walkout.
Yeah.
Not just the walkout. When they're announcing and he's beating on his chest and he's screaming.
Meanwhile, Ikram, Rich, if you can go to the next picture. And I was like, oh, no, dude. Guys, this might.
I'm just happy to be here.
I'm at the main event. I'm stoked, dude.
Hey, you got Bobby Knuckles right across the octagon from you. Look at his face. Look at his dude. Beating on his chest, screaming. So I was looking at this, right? Dude. Oh, so do I. And I know that you've always been a big Bobby Knuckles fan. You always have been. It's well documented. Go back, take a look at the old episodes. Please do. We need more views. But you've always talked about Bobby Knuckles. But for me, it was a slow growth for me with Bobby Knuckles. And I love watching him fight now. Family man. He's overcome a lot. He's overcome adversity. He's still amongst the top of the game, dude. Like, if for anybody to get past Bobby Knuckles, this is the real deal. Like, he's a contender, right? And we saw it with Duplessis.
Oh yeah, he's champ now.
Yeah,
he's a champ
for sure.
Actually, Comer says Whittaker just wanted to go home and play the Elden Ring DLC. That's the other thing, dude. Whittaker,
he's a gamer.
One thing that I've always he's a gamer, dude. He's super into like all the Elder Scrolls games. Yeah, he's game. He's game. But one thing you bring up the Drickus fight. One thing he said after that is he was like, I noticed that like I don't have the hunger like Drickus had. When Drickus came at me at the start of that fight, I realized that I'm like in a sport and other guys are trying to kill people. And he's like, I needed to like refine that. And then he fought Paulo Costa and he fought with some fire. This fight right away, dude, straight down the pipe, that jab is a power jab. It's not just scoring points. You know what I mean? Like, and which, shout out to Mig Class on Twitter. If you haven't seen it, he put a really cool, like 20-second clip of the feints of Robert Whittaker drawing out kind of lazy teep reactions from Ikram, where he'd float that knee up and kind of just be lazy on it. And Whittaker caught that early. But the way he's able to catch that early and draw those things out with feints is because he's going hard with that jab early. Yeah, that's a good picture of it there. But when he's point fighting and he's just tapping you with stuff, you don't really have to respect the feints as much, right? Because like it's either a feint or if it's the real punch, it's just he's just tagging me. It's not like I don't have to really worry about those shots. He's point fighting. Yeah. But when he's coming out there with a fire, you got to respect feints because it might be a piston jab now. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what we got. He came out with that fire, like walkout.
That Bobby Knuckles has that beautiful 1-2. A lot of times he follows it up with that high kick, which
he did it once.
Lightning fast, so good. He did once. Yeah. But to your point, he throws that 1-2, lands that left, and that's what rocked Ikram, right?
While his leg was up, while he was on one leg, because he threw that lazy kind of teep. Shout out Phantom Punch in the chat. Shout out Ghost. Said, "What's up, guys? I found it weird." Let's go back to that first comment, Rich. I found it weird that Ikram tried to counter with the step-up high kick instead of jabbing with Rob, but awesome work by Rob for recognizing that read. Shout out to Mix Cloud. Because that's kind of been that's something that Drickus really talked about, was that he noticed, especially the southpaw jab, that Rob doesn't quite see the southpaw jab or react to it the correct ways. And that's an opportunity. But I think it's maybe ingrained into Ikram, and maybe Ikram didn't have a full fight camp. So give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he didn't have a full camp to prepare for Robert Whittaker, Which, if you're fighting Robert Whittaker, you probably want a full camp. Let's be real.
And then you want a full camp. This guy's so experienced. He's a veteran of the game. He's been in there with the who's who, the cream of the crop of the division. And you really see the experience come into play after he rocks Ikram, right? And that's where, after he rocks him, and you saw that he had him wobbled, he throws out 1-2 followed by the high kick. The high kick just misses. Yeah. Because that would have been a highlight walk-off KO reel, right?
Would have been awesome.
But then he still has Ikram that's kind of up against the fence, and Bobby Knuckles coming in, sees that he has a high guard, and he kind of he feints the left, and you see Ikram raise the high guard even more, and he just lands that uppercut straight from Australia, from down under, and dude, out.
Yeah. He drops him. It could have been a walk-off, but Ikram started kind of getting up, and he's like, all right, here's a couple more.
That's never good. Look, after you land that punch and your opponent's looking towards the heavens.
Yeah.
No bueno.
No bueno. HB Comer says, we all agree he would have destroyed Khamzat, right? I do think he would have beat. I think this Robert probably would have beat Khamzat.
I think this Robert would beat a lot of people, man.
Yeah. I think Robert's so fucking cool, man. I've always loved the guy. Shout out Austin, says, good afternoon, guys. Unfortunately, only managed to catch the last two fights because I didn't know it was on so early. But I'm happy I caught Whittaker's KO. Have a good stream, guys. Sorry, I can't say. Shout out Austin.
Hey, shout out Austin. Always coming through at least for a little bit, man, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely appreciate Ghost says, I find middleweight in general so weird. Whatever our opinions on Izzy and Rob, they are great talents. Then we have wasteland of weird fighters. There's some weird characters at middleweight.
Yeah.
Like there's like a lot of like kind of like one trick ponies, or like, you know, guys that just go have ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. Middleweight is a weird division, man.
Well, here,
and historically it's been so fun.
Let me call out some middleweights here. So you have Dricus du Plessis, of course, the champion right now. You have Sean
He's a
Strickland.
champ, but he's weird as fuck the way he fights.
Yeah. Sean Strickland, interesting cat,
yeah.
Right? Then you have Izzy, Robert Whittaker, Nasrat Naimov, Jared Cannonier, Vittori.
Cannonier's like 50 years old.
Vittori, Brendan Allen, Paulo Costa. Come on, the secret juice with Paulo Costa. Gotta love that guy, dude.
Yeah, and you just never know what the hell is like. It's just so interesting because it's like, is he even going to make the fight? Is it? If he does, what does it look like? Yeah, middleweight's weird. You got guys.
Jack Hermanson.
There's like a lot of specialists, you know. Jack Hermanson, yeah. Andre Muniz.
My boy Roman Dolidze.
Yeah, he just got a fight, right?
Michelle Pereira.
Yeah.
Weird but fun. Weird but fun.
Sometimes. And then there's like they have just like the worst matchups sometimes. Like the matchmaking at middleweight really highlights how truly awful it can be, you know?
Yeah, how much of a cluster it is.
Yeah. Fight Zone Up. Shout out Fight Zone Up says, do you think Chimaev had fought, it would have been a tougher fight, or would the result have been the same? Yeah, it would have been a tougher fight.
Tougher fight.
Would have been harder for sure.
But again, Robert Whittaker was locked in yesterday. We saw it from the time he walked out, the time he was getting his name announced. Like he just looked locked in. To your point, Ikram also had a short camp for this.
Well, he had a full camp, but it wasn't a camp preparing
not
for Robert.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where Khamzat had been preparing for Robert Whittaker. So yes, absolutely a tougher fight.
Yeah, it would have been tougher. I still going into that I had Whittaker over Khamzat, but
that does not surprise me.
I still think he would have won. But he wouldn't have got a first round knockout in like a minute and a half, I don't think. That would have been crazy. Did you see, by the way, there's some reporter out there at the press conference talking to Rob, and they're like, he said something to the effect of, it's great that you got this win, but if you fought Khamzat, obviously you probably would have had to go 5 rounds, and maybe the result probably would have been different. So like, what do you think about that? And Whittaker's just laughing, and he's like, yeah, and if I had wheels, I'd be a bike. He's like, what if I made scrambled eggs instead of waffles this morning? It's like, literally doesn't matter.
So ridiculous, dude.
I'm gonna ask a guy like that.
That's what frustrates me, man. You have people like that, and then like, hey, we could be there.
Yeah,
give us a press pass.
I don't think we would laugh.
We won't ask questions like that, I promise.
Yeah, we'd ask the other wrong questions, dude. I think
Dana would ban us, actually. Very first time we'd be there, we would be like, hey, Dana, with all these allegations, and you guys probably having to pay millions of dollars to these fighters that have been underpaid for years, you wouldn't even finish a question, they'd kick you out.
They'd be like, yeah, you keep saying Power Slap's breaking NBA records, all this stuff, but like, how come they've only sold like 20% of that arena that you're doing?
Yeah, never again. Revoked. All right. Anything else on the main event?
HB Comer just says one thing though. Aliskerov was preparing for a fight at 170. I think he was cutting weight already. Yeah, I mean, I think
good point. Very good point.
Yeah, I mean, props to Ikram to jump on that opportunity is massive, right? To just jump to a main event against a former champ, that's tough. Yeah, I don't know. That's the stuff that happens when there's these weird fights where they make them last minute and they pull from another card, and it's just it sucks. But at the same time, that's when people can seize those opportunities and become just cemented as like legends. You know what I mean? There's some guys who take that short notice. Michael Bisping.
In some situations, you think, oh, this is a lose-lose for Bobby Knuckles because he beats Ikram, and there's a lot of reasons as to why Ikram should have lost. He loses to Ikram, and it's like Bobby Knuckles is shell of his old self, right? Mm-hmm. In this case, I don't know, man. I still feel like the showing for Bobby Knuckles was so good that it still like moves him up in the division.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like sometimes, yeah, like you said, sometimes it's like, okay, you beat a guy who's unranked, blah, 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 like whatever. You should have beat him. But then on the flip side, it's like sometimes you just have to do what you're supposed to do in there just to remind everybody, hey, I'm still there. I'm still that guy. And that's a win in and of itself.
100%.
Ghost has a funny question to ask Dana. It's why Shara can't fight in the US. I don't know. It might have something to do with his eye. It's got to be that eye. That eye's fucked, dude.
Just tell him to get a Bisping eye. They let him fight.
Yeah, but the secret's at Bisping's wasn't visible. This dude's got like
that's what I'm saying. Just put like a little thing over it, dude. Like a little fake eye.
An eye patch. Oh, okay. Yeah.
An eye patch, fighting with an eye patch. That's not. You can still see it. You know.
Yeah.
Like you're not really hiding it with an eye patch. All right, let's move on here, man. We'll go on to the co-main event. Props to Bobby Knuckles though. In the co-main event, we had Alexander Volkov versus a jacked Sergei Pavlovich, man.
Yeah,
looking massive.
Yeah, I fucking love Volkov, dude. I've always been a fan. The guy's hilarious. If you watch his like Instagram videos and shit he makes, he's so goddamn funny. And he's just seems like he's always at the cusp, and then he fumbles a little bit. Like the Derek Lewis fight, he's up 5 rounds and then gets caught with like 20 seconds left or whatever it was. And you're just like, no, it was so close. He's one of those guys, once he started bulking up and started sitting on his punches more, it made him more effective at, like, I don't want to say point fighting, but like he's always been a very well-rounded fighter who can go the distance and, outpoint you really. But once he bulked up and started really sitting on his punches and stuff like that, I think it kind of negates the Derek Lewis comeback opportunities, because not only is he point fighting you, but now he's punishing you for trying to come in, and he'll freeze you like he did in this fight.
He did a couple times.
Very cool things, dude.
Okay, so let's get started here. We had Pavlovich, solid jab to start off, right? But then the thing that Pavlovich started doing is he'd land a jab, he'd take a step back, and then he'd start winding up from the hip, trying to come in with the right hook, left hook combo. But when he was doing that, Volkov would come straight down like with that jab.
Yeah.
Look, there's a picture of it right there.
From the heavens, dude. He's so tall.
Yeah. And he would stop Pavlovich in his tracks.
Yeah.
Right? So I thought that was beautiful.
One thing I really liked that he did when he was in Southpaw, he'd throw that sidekick, that stomping sidekick to the lead leg, and then he'd come down with the lead jab. So he's going right leg stomp and jab on the same side immediately after. So every time Pavlovich was trying to counter off the kick, it's like, no, I'm eating a jab. I can't yet. And it's like, it was such like a bam, bam, like almost like the Nate Diaz 1-2, where the 2's like right behind it.
Right behind
he's
it,
throwing,
yeah.
He's throwing, except it's that stomp to the lead leg to the jab. And then he would exit out. He'd weave to his left to exit out. And eventually Pavlovich started throwing the right high kick. And I was like, at first I was like, that's a perfect combo and exit from Volkov, because like I don't really see Pavlovich throwing a right high kick to time the weave. And then he started doing it a little bit later on, but you could tell it's like not very good at
it. yeah. But right idea.
Yeah, right idea.
But, hey, shout out Ganscow as well. Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
HB Comer saying Volkov is a character. There's a great thread on Reddit explaining the whole dynamic between the two. Basically, a rocket scientist versus a meathead.
Yeah, because there was some weird dynamic in this where when they announced the fight, they were like, this is one of those classic UFC announcing a fight before any fighters even agreed to it. And they were like, what? We're not going to fight. We're friends. Volkov's like, we're friends. We train together and stuff. Pavlovich's like, we're not really friends. We just train together. But in the face-off, Pavlovich was like, he was pissed that he found out that Volkov accepted the fight before him. And he was like, what the fuck? Like, why would he accept it? But then Volkov thought the same thing. I think they just tell each other, like, yeah, they already signed it, so like you should sign it. And then they're like, oh, okay, because the UFC's lying like that. UFCs are like cops in investigations, they just lie to you.
Yeah.
But then so there's a little bit of bad blood there. And I saw that thread too. It is a really good thread because Volkov is fucking hilarious, dude. The guy's a straight up character. And I think that, and like, he even says, like, I think Pavlovich doesn't like me because he doesn't get the humor. He's like, basically, like, he's too meatheady to even like understand what's happening. So he's like, takes everything at face value, which is so funny.
Dang, dude. I mean, he's not wrong though.
He's not wrong, dude. But yeah, Pavlovich, they kept kind of saying he was gun shy. I don't think he was gun shy. I think he was just getting punished every single time he tried something.
I think he was trying to figure out a puzzle.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to figure out a puzzle.
Nice.
The footwork, Pavlovich, they were talking about how he has longest reach in the UFC. But you know what beats that reach? Allegedly, yeah. But you know what beats that reach is Volkov's height and his kicks, dude. He had beautiful kicks to the liver over and over again. He had fantastic hair. Dude, come on. How good was that? They're like, hey, in between rounds, they were combing his hair. And HLB Comer's already pointed out a couple times that he said that hair combing was top tier.
Yeah, so good, dude. So good.
That's so funny.
Look, if you're fighting and you have a long reach, coming in with hooks isn't necessarily gonna accentuate your reach. You know what I mean? And I think they said it was like a 4-inch reach advantage or something like that. So they say. A lot of fighters will say that the UFC's never even measured their reach. But Volkov, like, one of the best examples is like if you stand there and put your hand up against the wall, like a fist up against the wall, and then you move your hand up, it's now off the wall by like 3 inches. So it's like if you're punching up, you're losing an inch by punching up to a taller guy. So Volkov's ability to fight behind the jab, behind the kicks, the left body kick. Oh my God, dude, by the way.
So good.
Southpaw.
He landed so many times. Yeah.
I mean, he just fought. We've talked about it all the time, and unfortunately we have to beat up on Stefan Struve, but Stefan Struve rarely fought to his physical attributes. Volkov has fought to his physical attributes very well, especially the height.
Stefan Struve, dude. That guy's gotten beat up more by us than he has in the actual fights, man. Poor guy. Anytime there's a tall fighter that fights tall, Struve's name gets brought up, dude. I feel so bad for that guy. Hey, shout out Struve, though.
Great guy.
Great guy. Yeah. But hey, fantastic game plan by Volkov. Very well executed. By the end of the fight, man, Pavlovich was wearing it, dude.
Wearing pissed.
Frustrated. Super frustrated. Right?
To the point where he pushes him.
I just tried to tell him good fight.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe he mad.
Yeah. Dude, so the picture of him after the push. There's one picture of the push in here, and then there's another picture of after the push. So there's the push after the fight, and then the after one, Volkov is just smiling, dude. Oh my God, dude. Yeah. Volkov said the hair combing was requested by his mother, so that her son looks beautiful. And then the thing with Volkov is you never know if he's like, that might be true, or he's just like, that's funny. I'll just say that.
Well, how funny too, where he's like, who was it? DC was like, oh, well, I know he got a new haircut, so he wants to keep it looking good. And Anik is so good, dude, because he just plays off of anything that's going on. He's like, that's a good read there, champ. Yeah. And they just keep on rolling like nothing was ever said, dude. So good, man. So good. All right. But hey.
Yeah, look at the legs on Volkov, though, after the fight.
Ooh, a little beat up, huh?
Yeah.
Landing so many kicks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Slamming him with kicks.
So for Volkov, what do you do, Will? What do you do?
I don't know. We're now at the point where we're really starting to feel the effects of this John Jones debacle at heavyweight.
Yep.
Because you start to have, as the champ sits out, you have other fighters winning and rising through the ranks and knocking at that door.
So this probably drops Sergei to 5, maybe, right?
Yeah.
This moves Alexander Volkov up. What do? Do you have the top 4 continue fighting each other at that point? Do you put Pavlovich versus Almeida?
Maybe, but maybe you do Volkov versus Gane if Cyril Gane takes a fight. Apparently, he's just been turning down fights left and right. But like, dude, at a certain point, you got to lose number 2 if you're not taking fights. But they're doing Aspinall versus Blades. John Jones is whatever is happening with him and Stipe. So like, Volkov needs to fight up for this. Ganskow says heavyweight will be way more fun once JJ and Stipe are gone. Yeah, it's just like, why are we doing this still? Why are we doing this still? Just if you really want it, dude, if it's about legacy and shit, just make some random bullshit belt called like the Legends belt or some shit and have them fight. And then we can just move on with the division because like, dude, come on. Like, why are we doing this?
I know. Holding it up, dude. Holding it up.
Who's that fight for? Does anybody actually want that fight now? John Jones, Stipe?
When it first was announced, I was like, give it to me now. And now I'm like, dude, let's get the belt to somebody else. Let's get Tom Aspinall a fight. Let's turn that into the actual belt. They want to have a to your point, right? Like a Legends fight. Who's going to go down as the best heavyweight in the history? Cool. Give me Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane.
The Curtis Blaze fights, is it 304 they're doing that? Whatever the London card is. Like, just make that the real belt.
Yeah.
And people will say, like, oh, the interim champ should never defend the belt. And it's like, no, that's not the case. In my opinion, the interim champ should defend the interim belt until the champ comes back. The problem is John Jones coming back to fight a different contender instead of unifying. That's where it becomes a problem. And I think we've talked about this a bunch of times already.
All right. Hey, let's move on, dude. Let's move on to the next fight.
Yeah.
We have Kelvin Gastelum versus every Mexican restaurant in history. It's the biggest battle there's been since the UFC has come to life, dude. Okay, but we have Gastelum versus D-Rod. Dude, what is going on here?
Yeah, so
let me look at this picture.
Weigh-ins, look at the gut on Kelvin Gastelum. This fight was at 170. Kelvin's returned to 170 after being forced to fight at 185 for missing weight at 170 too many times. Now they're letting him back at 170. Takes on D-Rod. D-Rod says in an interview on Thursday, the day before weigh-ins, I guess Kelvin's having a hard time with the weight cut, so we're going to fight at 185, which is just so disrespectful, dude. To do it the day before, it's like, how early did you know that you weren't going to make weight?
He knew for a while, bro. But the thing is that if he waits till the day before, D-Rod is already in the process of cutting weight. He's already struggling. And look, Kelvin
this is a month ago.
Yeah. Go back to the picture, Rich. There we did. Kelvin Gastelum on his YouTube page. By the way, shout out. We have more subscribers than Kelvin Gastelum.
Hey, that's actually pretty
fantastic. Sick. That's fantastic. So thank you everybody that has subscribed. Tell your friends, tell your mamas, tell your papas. But yes.
Yeah.
So over here, a month prior to the fight, we have Kelvin Gastelum testing out tacos, trying out tacos, doing taste tests. What are we doing?
Dude, he names the video Missing Weight with Kelvin Gastelum. That's crazy. The tacos did look pretty fucking good, I'll be honest.
Dude, I was looking at that actually, and the ones there by his left hand, like I don't know if that's in a thicker asada cut or what it is, but those look amazing.
Dude, yeah, the video actually, the tacos do look good.
Very
but
good.
That being said, good job, guys. But the fact that he put a video out and named it's a food show, and he's naming it Missing Weight, and then he misses weight the next fight is crazy, dude. And Dana was pissed about it. He was like, dude, that's just unacceptable. What do you think about?
But that's not what the message is.
No.
When you miss weight twice before in this division, if I'm Dana and I'm trying to send a message, he comes in missing weight, I say, hey, we're getting a replacement fight. We're going to have a newcomer come in to fill in for Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum has been cut on the spot.
The problem is it's the day before. They can't really fill in somebody.
It's happened before. You mean to tell me there's not some guy out on the regional scene?
They're in Saudi Arabia, dude. Who are they going to call?
Who cares, dude?
Turkey.
Who cares?
Whatever. He comes in there with this fucking...
Anybody, dude. But send out the message. Send out the message.
Dude. Yeah, Ghost. I remember this. Remember when Kelvin couldn't run a 5K on Tough in the coach's challenge against Whittaker? Oh my god, dude! So funny, dude.
This is
so funny. Yeah, gotta go, but I'll watch the rest later. Hey, shout out Ghost.
Shout out Ghost.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. They already banned him from the weight class once.
Can't scale. Says he can't stop eating because he misses weight, and he misses weight because he can't stop eating. It's a vicious cycle. I think that's
Schrodinger's cat, dude.
I don't know, but that's a movie reference. I want to say it's Austin Powers, Goldmember, maybe. Let me know if I'm right, Ganscale. Let me know if I'm right.
Yeah, HB Comer says, I'm convinced he did it on purpose. He absolutely needed a win and did everything, including having a weight advantage. Look, when you call the day before, that's pretty bad. That's pretty indicative that there was, I mean, you just know, before the day of, I'm not going to make weight. You knew. And shout out D-Rod for taking the fight. Massive respect to him. I hope the UFC takes care of him for that. Because And he fought well, dude. This was actually a banger fight. It was like a 4-round boxing match. It was fun, dude.
It
Up
was
until
really
Gastelum started
good.
working the takedowns.
D-Rod working in some body shots, I thought was a really good idea. I mean, this guy's already missing weight, right? Who knows if he even tried to drop weight or not? But if he did, like,
yeah, that's always the thing we talk about. It's like we can actually start talking about the fight itself now. You never know when someone misses weight. Is this going to be an advantage or is it going to be a disadvantage, right? Because it's like, was it a hard weight cut that they just couldn't get over the hump on? Because if so, I'm going to punish that bot. Well, no, I'm just saying, like, not just this fight, just in general. It's like if I'm fighting somebody and they miss weight, if it was a really tough weight cut, I'm going to the body all day. But if it was planned and it was not a big issue and it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to make weight, I'm not going to try, then the body shots aren't going to do as much damage as they would have in the other scenario. You know what I mean? Like,
and you know what? At the end, he goes through and he's like, "Hey, I'm a company man." No, stop
please
saying.
Do not cut me.
Stop saying you're a company man.
Yeah, you're not.
Because if you're truly a company man, you would be professional, and you would not put your company in this position. Yeah. This fight, D-Rod had all the right in the world to say, "I'm not fighting anymore."
Yeah,
I'm not.
But he probably would have got punished more than Gastelum will.
But in the fans, at least like I think about it, like in my eyes, if I'm D-Rod, I'm like, hey, completely understand D-Rod. Try to pick up the next fight, you know.
Yeah.
Come in short notice, stay in shape, whatever. Like, just be ready to pick up another fight. If you're a company man, don't put your company in this position.
But
stop saying that.
They already sent the message. They've sent the message about weight cuts. That's not a big deal anymore. They sent the message on the flip side with Wonderboy against Michel Pereira when he declined the fight after Michel Pereira missed weight, and they didn't even pay him. And he's like trying to fight for his paycheck for the next like 2 months. So if you're other fighters, you see that and you're like, well, I got to take the fight. I already spent all this money on camp. I flew maybe I flew people out to the fight because I have to pay for that. I got all these other expenses. You only fight maybe 3 times a year. I can't not go for a paycheck after I did all that. So you take the fight. It sucks.
It does. It does.
But it was a banger fight.
But the thing is, for me, I guess it's frustrating. And look, I don't know everything that's going on in the background, right? But it really is pretty simple. Like being able to say, hey, we're already planning on paying this money out. D-Rod, take your win and show money.
Whoa, dude.
I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but take your win and show money because you did your job. You flew out to Saudi. You're professional. Yeah. Kelvin, you're cut on the spot. He doesn't get his win. He doesn't get his show money. So already, either way, you're probably breaking even there. You're actually coming up positive.
True. Yeah, true.
Right?
You only had to pay one of them.
And you're sending a message one time. You do this one time, and you're sending a message. You're changing the culture. Just like that.
True. Yeah.
So on the post-fight press conference, your Dana White, well, you know, this is unacceptable. Yeah, you allowed it.
Yeah,
you're allowing it.
And we'll see what happens moving forward. Because the punishment has already been you can't fight at 170 anymore. And he got back into good graces, I guess, and they let him back. But
how long did they let Cynthia Calvillo fight?
I think she's still fighting, dude.
I thought she was cut. Was she brought back?
I think she got brought back.
Oh, my God. And after how many weight misses?
I don't know.
Now Kelvin Gastelum. Like, this is happening over and over again.
Yeah.
Don't say one thing, but then act a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to walk the walk.
Exactly. Well,
it's tough for Dana, though.
A lot of punches and bunches from D-Rod this fight.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Dude, I love the way he makes in the body shots.
Very, very good, man. You know, and again, it's frustrating that his performance is being taken away from all the other noise around it, right? And then the thing that sucked too at the end, those takedowns, and you even heard D-Rod say, "You feel heavy."
Yeah, so funny.
Come on.
What are we doing? Dude. It's fucked.
What are we doing? All right. It is what it is. That was it for that fight. Props to D-Rod. Showed up very well. Kelvin Gastelum, do better. Do better. All right. We'll move on. We also had Shara Bullet versus Antonio Trocoli.
Yeah, I mean, just weird fights, kind of. Weird card. Shara Bullet, obviously, if you don't know the backstory, with him getting arrested for stomping that dude out, sneak attack, stomping that guy that he confronted for kissing his own girlfriend in public. And he was like, hey, we don't do that. Turned into a fight. and then he snuck up on him and stomped him out after the original fight got broken up. Gets arrested. So I'm not a fan of the guy. That being said, he is fun to watch strike. Trocoli, I think he took this obviously on short notice. He was supposed to fight Ikram on short notice the last card. Ikram takes the Whittaker fight. So like Trocoli, sorry, tough shit. And then Shara Bullet's opponent pulls out and said like, hey, Trocoli, do you still want to fight? He's like, I guess. I'll fly to Saudi Arabia. Yeah. And, I think on a full camp, I think, look, they both, obviously this is an opponent shakeup for both of them, but I think Trocoli also was cutting to 170 the week before. And then has this fight at 185. You could tell after the first round, dude was exhausted and was like, all I can do is try to stay in my stance so that he doesn't know I'm exhausted. I can't do anything right now. You could tell his body was just done, dude. I felt for the guy because he had a good first round and he got fucked by Mark Goddard.
I was gonna say what didn't help was the fact that he was about to get a takedown, right? And
There's a picture of it in here.
Blatant fence grab, like one of the worst fence grabs I've seen. Here we go. We see him going for the single leg. He's drag, right?
First, he's got the knee. Shara Bullet's got the knee shield, stopping him from getting the single leg. So the next picture is him clearing the leg to get it in between his legs to go for the single leg and the trip. And it's a beautiful dump. And look at the fence grab, dude. Look at that. Well,
so bad.
The high kick.
So bad.
And then, but earlier in this fight, Trocoli has him up against the fence and he grabs the fence behind him for like a second. And Mark Goddard's like, whoa, we got to separate. And you separate him for that, which didn't amount to anything. But then you don't do anything for the fence grab that literally stopped the takedown.
Yeah,
that's crazy, dude. You can't set a precedent like that and then just completely go back on it. You just cannot do that, dude. Yeah, you can't punish one guy for a fence grab that ultimately didn't do anything, and then a very effective fence grab, you just do nothing for it. It's fun.
Rough. Very rough.
Our Bullet and then really struggled early, thinking. I was worried that I was like, oh no, can this guy only counter strike? Because when Trocoli wasn't moving in, he was just like, I'll just pepper you with some leg kicks. Please come in so I can start countering. And Trocoli was like, I'm too tired to do anything. And then we kind of got a weird stalemate for a good amount of this fight. And then he was like, oh, he's exhausted. I'm just going to finish this guy.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Just a weird night.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then, but after that, look, one of the things that I really like about Shara Bullet is his multiple stances, right? Like he has like a conventional, almost like boxing stance. Well, I guess you'd just call like a regular MMA stance, right? Where he can just adjust based off of what his opponent's doing. But then he also has somewhat like of a wide karate stance where he's able to come in and throw these kicks on the drop of a dime. You know what I mean? And then he switches back and forth between those stances. But he's a very creative striker.
Yeah, he's very creative. I just don't know what the ceiling is, to be honest. I know he showed things. Fun fights, yeah. But the fun fights, how often are they going to the Middle East? You know what I mean? Like Dana said in the press conference, he's not going to fight in the U.S. So it's like, all right, well, we're never going to see him fight for the belt. So, because they're not going to have a champ who literally can't fight in America. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, can't fight in Vegas? Come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So, and if he fights another competent wrestler who can like really shoot some takedowns, it's going to be tough, dude.
Yeah, Goddard's not going to ref every one of his fights. You know what I mean?
I mean, that fence grab was crazy,
it was bad.
Dude.
It was look, and then Goddard's over there grabbing the fence himself. Go back. Again, you got to walk the walk. What are we doing? You can't be telling fighters don't grab the fence and then you're grabbing the fence.
And I normally really like Goddard, but he fucked this one up pretty bad.
He did. He's a good ref.
It's a good ref.
Goddard's fucked up.
Ref. They all fuck up.
They do. It happens. They're human. You know what I mean? But I will say this. Accountability.
Yeah.
There needs to be some type of like point system in place, right? Where, hey, the refs can even get docked.
Well, we do this in I thought you meant for the fighters.
We do this in all other professional sports. In the playoffs, in the championship series or Super Bowl, the highest scoring officials are the ones that get to play those or ref those games. That. Yeah.
The only other sport I watch is baseball, and I don't even watch that.
But it's the same thing in the playoffs, right? Like there's teams literally that's where they're like, hey, your umpiring team won't be in the playoffs. Your umpiring team won't be in the World Series. Like they make a selection based off of. Well, thank God he's retired. You know what I mean? But
yeah, he sued because he thought he was like, it's racial discrimination that they never let me umpire in the playoffs and World Series.
No, it's because you're awful.
It's because you're really bad, dude.
Yeah,
he lost the case, by the way.
So, but there should be something like that for the refs. You cannot ref a main event, a co-main event, if you're losing points. You're getting points docked. Also, you have the ability to give them post-fight interviews, post-fight press conferences, where we get to ask these questions and say, hey, there was an egregious fence grab there. What prevented us? Like earlier, you saw Herzog have the opponent in a down position after that fence grab. What made you decide not to do that?
Yeah, well, the problem is the athletic commissions are the ones protecting them from that. Okay. So we're just never going to get it because no one has authority over them other than like, I guess the government, but what the fuck are they going to do? Ganscow says, so no Khamzat champ either. I don't think so. I don't think Khamzat ever gets a title shot. That might be a hot take, but I don't think he ever gets a title shot. He's been far too unreliable getting to the fight, and he can't fight in America.
Hey, shout out to the MMA holes.
Hey, shout out MMA holes. That's a great name.
Thanks for joining us. That is a great name. But yes, so hey, that's all I got. That's my rant on that event and that issue. We'll move on to the very next one. Do we have time, or do we have no time?
Whoa! Look at that.
Volkan Oezdemir versus Johnny Walker. Look at that transition, dude. We're bringing our A game today. We're bringing our A game. Yes. So who'd you have going into this one?
Oezdemir.
Caveman or Oezdemir?
Oezdemir, easy.
Hey, why do I feel like I'm about to see a Geico commercial drop right now whenever I'm like...
I feel like he's about to start singing Hey Ya, dude, by Outkast.
Remember that music video? Oh, of course I remember that music video. One of the best, dude.
Classic.
So Volkan Oezdemir, I had Volkan Oezdemir going into this, dude. Shout out my buddy Joseph Beeben. We were talking about this fight just the day before, and I was like, dude, you got to give it to Oezdemir because with Johnny Walker, this is exactly what I said. You're always wondering, how is he going to get knocked out? That's exactly what we said when we were talking, on the conference call. Probably shouldn't have been talking about that, but it was a lot of fun. And yes, with Johnny Walker, you just never know. Because the thing is, Johnny Walker is tall. He's strong. He's fast. Yeah. He just hasn't been able to put everything together since his quick ascension that he had. He gets a loss. He gets knocked out once. And then after that, it's just like, ooh, what are you going to get?
Yeah, it's just I think he just made the wrong choice because it's like once he had that first setback in the UFC, it was like, hey, we need to refine some things. I can't just be this crazy, wild fighter anymore at this level. And he went to SBG, and I think that was the start of the end for him, dude. I think he probably could have found a better camp that would have either refined him better or just helped him continue to be a wild man, but in a more of like a I don't know, like a cautious way, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe a little more fine-tuned wild man.
Yeah, because for a while we had like point fighter Johnny Walker, and it was like, oh, these are boring. And then now we got this guy who just starts trading with people and just gets clipped and it's done instantly. So it's like, man, he needs to like, it might be too late, to be honest. I don't know if we'll ever see a Johnny Walker turnaround. It could happen. We've had fighters go from getting knocked out a bunch to like all of a sudden they string together like a ton of wins. But
hey, especially now with no Sada, like.
But he's still getting flatlined, dude.
Yeah, but
how bad do you feel for Oezdemir though, huh? He's back to just clean shaved after he went to Turkey and got that hair transplant for like one fight.
Yeah.
And then
you could see some things coming out like for a while there.
And he's like, never mind. It's not good.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is.
But he clips Johnny Walker. He hurts him. Walker does a decent job against the fence of, bobbing and weaving and slipping some punches. But Oezdemir, he has that crazy death touch power where, like, even if he just clips you a little bit, it's like he just shuts your lights off. So if you already have,
DC was saying Oezdemir hits really hard.
Yeah,
and that's from DC.
Yeah, dude, he hits. I mean, there was when he burst onto the scene, he was just like touching people with like it looked almost like a shove to like get out of the clinch, and the guy's just knocked out, and you're like, what the fuck, dude?
What happened?
He hits so hard. So recipe for disaster if you're Johnny Walker. He drops him. He lands in that crouch stance, where he's crumpled like on one foot, and then he eats an uppercut that just completely stretches him out. It was crazy, dude. That was fucked up.
And Oezdemir, right? People forget how good Oezdemir is. He lost to DC for the belt, right?
Yeah.
Then,
right?
Yes. Then he lost to Anthony Smith, rear naked choke.
That's a
he
tough
lost
one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But then he lost to Dominic Reyes when Dominic Reyes was in his prime, in his peak. Beat Latifi, beat Alexander Rakic, loses to Yidri Prohaska, Ankalaev. So I mean, he's faced some tough opponents, man.
Well, most of those are pretty good losses. And the Yidri fight, they were swinging and banging for a bit, dude. Yidri was just fucking too much of a savage, dude.
I mean, he is for a lot of people, you know what I mean? But I mean, look at this. So Johnny Walker gets dropped, right? This is after he already been dropped on his ass once. Right?
This was on the way after the uppercut.
Yes.
This is him getting extended.
And so he falls. Herzog's on the side. Herzog's kind of thinking about it. He's like, oh, should I stop this? Should I not? You see like all this like math run into Herzog's head, thinking like, what are the odds that Johnny gets flatlined? And then by the time he's like, I should probably stop this, Oezdemir just landed that right hand right on Johnny's chin, which put him out.
Stretched him out, dude. Literally stretched him out. And this next picture, dude, the no time. Fucking sick.
With a body on his
dude.
In the background.
Sick, dude.
Such a good picture. Shit out Chris Unger.
I love Oezdemir. He's had ups and downs, but he's a fun fighter.
He is a very fun fighter, man. I love watching him fight. And honestly, again, I know that we've seen him lose against some of the best, but a very good pick a lot of the times. A very good pick if you're looking to put down a little bit of cash. You know what I mean? So cool. Anything else on this one?
No, we can move on to the next Kelvin Gastelum fight.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. Look, do you think Kelvin Gastelum looks at Haqparast and thinks what could have been?
Yeah, 100%.
You know, he looks at him and is like, man, is that what I could look like?
Yeah.
With my peak physique, you know? But we had Haqparast versus Jared Gordon.
Yeah, you got to feel for Jared Gordon a little bit. I don't know how you saw it, but I had Jared Gordon winning 2 out of 3. I thought he won the second and the third in this fight.
Kind of turned into somewhat of a, I don't want to say a sloppy banger, but look, because the thing is that they still had some technique in there, right? The only thing is that when both of them decide, hey, let's just stand in front of each other and let's just throw blow for blow, punch for punch. Okay, we'll back up like Beyblades and then come back at each other. And just, dude, it was a fun fight.
Jared Gordon has had this weird little resurgence where he's so good at pushing the pace and like making it a dirty boxing fight. Like he'll just go forehead to chest and start ripping body shots and uppercuts. It's so fucking fun to watch. And he's just relentless with that pressure, dude. He really found something that works well for him kind of later in his career, because Haqparast wants a clean boxing fight. He wants to be at a distance where he can work his straights and his combos. And Jared Gordon just comes out like a bat out of hell and really took the fight to him. I really like this fight. This was fun.
And I think what turned it into what Gordon wanted it to be is that he found a way to close the distance. He would clinch. He would go for these takedowns, making Haqparast think of, okay, there's going to be level changes, right? But then at the break of every level change, Gordon did a really good job of sneaking in a shot or two and, creating damage before they disengaged.
Yeah.
And so the more that happened, it was like Haqparast was just like, all right, man, like I'm eating some shots here. Like I got to try to land my shots first before he ends up closing the distance, before he clinches. So it turned it into a really fun fight.
Yeah, I thought round 2, Jared Gordon was like going to run away with this because Haqparast looked like he slowed down significantly. Gordon had him hurt up against the fence at one point. And then the third round, Haqparast came back and was like a second wind. The third round was fucking a banger round, dude. They're both exhausted at this point. But
that's the one where they're just standing there and they're just like,
yeah, dude.
Just throwing just shot after shot.
But Gordon did this. He switched to southpaw and started landing that lead, like lunging right hook, not like a check counter, but like a forward moving lead hook. And he just would like triple up on it. And Haqparast was just not seeing it. He was like, fuck. And he was just pumping that right hand in southpaw. It was so fucking cool. But the judges did not agree. They thought Haqparast won that third round.
I think it was a close fight, but I also think that Gordon pressed a lot of the action, forced a lot of the action, mixed it up a little bit more. Yeah. So in my eyes, Gordon edged it out.
But it was close.
I think that 29-28 was the right score. But I had Gordon 29-28.
Same. But fun fight, dude. These two guys swinging and banging. You love to see it.
We're not judges, dude. Too bad we're not judges. Yeah. Gordon would have had another notch on his belt, right? Also, man, there's this one where Haqparast came in trying to throw a left hook, right hook combo, and Gordon ducks under it. And as he stands up, he shoves Haqparast with the shoulder to create separation.
Oh, those are great.
He came back with the combo of his own, and the sequence and the speed at which that sequence happened, it looked so clean, man. Like something out of a video game, where you just press the right buttons and like he shoves them, boom, boom. Oh, dude, it's beautiful.
Well, he does that really well. If you want to watch someone who fucking very good at that, Gordon's not nearly on the level, but Mayweather did that a lot, right? Where he'd start slipping some punches and just drive that shoulder into you to knock you back, and then he's back up and resets. And Gordon does that very well for an MMA fighter. You don't see that too often, but
it's not utilized enough.
Yeah, it's just, I think maybe it's just dangerous with like the threat of takedowns and stuff like that too. But if you're like, hey, we're pretty much just boxing here, it's a good tool to have. And Gordon mixes it throughout all his fights really, really well. It's fun to watch.
For sure. All right. And then the last fight we're going to cover, just due to time, we're going to go through and cover Felipe Lima versus Mhammad Naimov.
Lima, so fucking sick, dude. Comes from Octagon as a champ. They're like, hey, they release him so that he can take this fight on short notice. They're like, we have a good relationship with the UFC. We want to see our fighters grow. So we'll let him relinquish the belt and get out of his contract to go to the UFC. Very fucking cool of a company to do that. You don't see that often in MMA. Maybe there were some back end deals. Maybe the UFC paid Octagon a little bit to get this guy. But he comes in on short notice to fight a weight class up against a tough guy in Naimov and looks like a fucking world beater,
dude. 12-fight win streak for Lima coming in. Also, Lima fighting out of All-Stars in Sweden, and we all know All-Stars, right?
Yes.
The
Mahler.
Yes. So good, dude. But a good camp, right? Apparently, he had a hard time getting his visa in the U.S., so he ended up in Sweden. The striking, phenomenal.
Dude, just so refined. Like, defensively sound. He never overextended on shit. Even he starts the fight with a fucking flying knee, and you're like, woo! And Ganskow, it is Octagon, the one with the K. The Octagon with the K. But just bat out of hell. And I was worried a little bit. There might be a bit of an adrenaline dump because the pace he started with, the first 2 minutes was crazy. And I was like, dude, this is your debut. Your weight class up.
Easy, huh?
Yeah, take it easy. But it didn't matter. He just fought at that pace for the whole time. And Naimov was there for most of it, man. This was a fun fight. Both guys looked good in this fight.
Little concerned in that first round, too, where he ended up on his back. And
he goes for the victor roll, right? They go back body lock. He goes for the victor roll to attack the leg. And I was like, that's fucking sick. It's cool, but it's high risk, high reward.
Yeah. And Naimov, props to him, too, because his straight was landing. He was like a little sniper. With that straight that he was throwing. But at the end of the day, man, Lima, super crafty, right? Ends up taking Naimov's back, sinks the rear naked choke super quick after taking his back.
Yeah, and what I liked about that, he goes gable grip on it. He doesn't go bicep grip. But one of the problems with gable grip sometimes is there's lots of space on the side. Because normally if you go here, you have your whole forearm around their, like basically here to block their head. But you go gable grip and it's all open there. You don't have an arm blocking that side. So what does he do? He sticks his fucking head in there and he blocks it with his head. It's just beautiful. It's little things like that where it's like, yeah, that's the way you're supposed to do it, but not everybody does it in practice, Like that's what you're supposed to do, but to be able to do that in your debut.
Look at the hooks in, the gable grip, like everything, right?
Yeah.
Like it couldn't get any tighter than this image.
Perfect. And that's perfect
textbook.
Yeah. And like you said, tighter, like that's how I would describe even his stand-up. Like he's very tight. He's mechanically sound. He's making the right movements. He doesn't look like somebody who came from like a smaller organization. It looks like this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. Yeah.
He belongs.
I'm very excited.
For sure. All right. Well, hey, props to Lima. And thank you, Mr. Lima, for helping us finish up the fights we're talking about.
Yeah.
On time. Yeah. So I'm sure we have a moment of silence because there was a lot of fights that we lost for this one, Will.
Yeah, this was crazy, dude. Whole card changed. When they first announced this card, it was like, oh, this is a fucking stacked card. We got what we got. We had obviously, the whole card. Cedric, I believe you pronounce it dumbass, was supposed to fight Dennis Tululin. He had visa issues. I'm assuming it's because of all the felonies he has and the domestic abuse cases and all the other shit that he's got going on, and assault and all this other shit that's crazy that he's still in the UFC, but whatever. So they rebooked that fight. Basharat was supposed to fight Montel Jackson. That didn't happen. Luderbach was supposed to fight Magomedov. Shara, he tested positive for steroids, and he said, hey, guys, look, I took this. I didn't know I was going to get signed to the UFC. I took this not knowing I was going to get signed to the UFC, and then I got signed, and they found it in my system, so that sucks. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess.
I love his honesty.
Yeah. Abu Azaitar was originally supposed to fight Tululin before Dumbass took the fight, but Azaitar, another dumbass, was supposed to fight him first, but he withdrew. Crazy that he's still in the UFC also. Him and his brother both are real scumbags. Naimov was originally supposed to fight Bagdasaryan, which would have been a very fun fight, but he had to pull out because he tore his labrum. He may legitimately never be the same. That's a really hard one to come back from. But we got Lima out of it, so I'm okay. Saeed Nurmagomedov was supposed to fight Montel Jackson. That would have been so fucking good. But Saeed couldn't make the fight, and Pochieria couldn't make the fight, and then obviously Whittaker versus Chimaev would have been the main event, but Chimaev is in the hospital.
Man, a lot of fights, a lot of changes.
Crazy.
How about monies? Who made extra monies?
Yeah, let's see the bonuses. I believe Whittaker got one.
Hey, good picture.
Yeah, finally they got some good pictures on these, dude.
Yeah, good picture.
They did.
All right, we're learning.
So Whittaker got one for his uppercut.
Podcast.
Maybe. Shara got one. Another good picture. Yeah. You don't like it? I like it.
That's right. Oh,
Oezdemir.
Come on.
Very good.
That's a good picture. Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oezdemir gets a bonus, and then Lima gets one. Why you don't get one of the choke? I don't know. But maybe they don't want to spoil fights. Maybe that's why.
Maybe. Who knows?
But yeah, that's
all right.
That's it.
Good stuff. And hey, what do we have coming up next week, though?
Next week we have UFC 303. Shout out to Big Marcel for putting these together. He puts together the bout orders from like Tapology and makes a graphic before the UFC does, which is much better than us trying to fit an entire Tapology string onto one screenshot. So this helps. We got Alex Pereira versus Yidri Prohaska 2. That's going to be fucking awesome.
That's going to be amazing.
Obviously, I like Yidri more. He's my boy. I hope he wins because I would very much like to see a trilogy. Because that matchup, I would watch it a fucking 1,000 times.
Yeah, that's like a Moreno versus Figueiredo.
Yeah, it's just giving it.
Sign them up just every weekend. I'm fine. Put it on.
Yeah, we got Brian T. City Ortega versus Diego Lopez. Very fun fight. Lopez jumping up, passing. What's his name? The guy he fought, Evloev. Passing him in the rankings, which is hilarious because he debuted against him and lost. Smith versus Delize was, I mean, that fight is now on the card. That was supposed to be. First, it was what was it? Jamal Hill versus somebody, and then they pulled out, and then Jamal Hill against Olberg, and then Jamal Hill pulled out, and then Anthony Smith stepped in to fight Olberg, and then Olberg pulled out, and then now it's Smith versus Delize. We have Mayra Buena Silva versus Macy Chasson on the main card for some reason. We got Ian Machado Gary versus Michael Venom Page. I like it. We got Joe Pyfer versus Marc-Andre Barrio. That's a fun fight. Cub Swanson versus Andre Fili is a fucking great fight.
One too. That's a banger.
Yeah, we got Jourdain on here. Talbot's back on here. Watterson versus Robertson is going to be sick. Arlovsky's back in there on the early prelims. Saruya is amazing. He's fighting Hernandez. That's going to be a great fight. This is a very good card. Simone versus Oliveira is actually very good too. This is fun.
It's stacked.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. And then we also have Friday Fight 68, a 10-pole pay-per-view card from One. It's $25 US.
Okay.
Prajanchai versus DeBella is a fucking banger. They finally got that rebooked. Superlek versus Kungtor and Knee is amazing. Woo-hoo. Sua Black is back. Pech Tanong is back versus Ramazanov. Shadow versus Viano is fucking amazing. Tyson Harrison's back. We got on the prelims, we got Pumpet versus Suryanlek. Sorry about that. That's a very fun fight. They fought again, or this is a rematch. The first fight was fucking insanity. Yodlik Pek's back against Kamawa. This is a very good card. Very good card.
Looking forward to it. Right. Well, that's it. That's all we got. Shout out to HLB, Comer, Ganskow. The MMA Holes dropped by and said what's up as well. We had Ghost on. We had Austin on. Who else? Am I missing anybody?
I think that's it. We had Fight
Zone.
Someone else. Fight Zone. Yeah. Shout out Fight Zone. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, Fight Zone.
The first time you
came
come
up on as well. So
Austin.
That was awesome.
Shout out Austin.
It's always nice whenever we have all these folks joining us live because, I mean, we love talking fights, right? So the more folks we have joining us, the better.
Build a community.
That's right. And we are trying to reach 20,000 subscribers. We just broke 13,000 subscribers, so thank you for that. If this is your first time listening, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, goes a long way. If you don't like watching but you like listening, they have other options, right, Will?
Yeah, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcast. Anywhere podcasts are found. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, Twitch, YouTube, merch. Story of the Fight. We got merch, storyofthefight.com. Check out the merch. It's easy. Story of the Fight on everything.
HLB Comer saying, do more video, bitches. More videos. I agree. We need to do some more. Maybe we do prediction video.
Yeah, dude. I'm always for it, dude.
Let's do it.
Live streams, TMZ, everything.
I love it.
Yeah, we need to do more fight companions, man. Fight companions are fun as hell.
But you know the thing that everybody always wonders, Will? Everybody always wonders who produces this show. And it's none other than Mr. Richard Bustos. There it is. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another week of Story of the Fight.